Our old shifter cables, which are pretty well shot, I was able to get two new old stock. You may recall from previous seasons that the newer models that they make of these barrels on the end are wider and you have to shave them down with a grinder. But these are new old stock, so they just need to be cleaned up a little bit. The other thing I was looking to replace were the shifter cable housings, which are different from the brake cable housings on these old Schwinn's. These two pieces were still in good shape and I was able to clean them up, but these three pieces were pretty well shot with a lot of cracks, and this one's completely bent at a 90-degree angle. I was able to source quite a few new, not new, but used old stock cable housings off of Schwinn's from a bike shop that I frequent, and some of them still have cracks and whatnot, but they'll be good for the smaller pieces, so we'll be cleaning those up. And then finally we need to clean up these derailleur parts and the bottom bracket parts so we can get everything squared away on those two items. That's what's happening on this episode of Featherstone Bicycles. These new old stock shifter cables are, they have some kind of a film on them just from sitting in the old shop for so long. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I want to measure, make sure they are long enough. I'm sure they are, but just for sake of peace of mind, and measure and make sure that they're actually shorter than this cable. So I don't think they're going to work. Well, that's unfortunate, but we'll keep them around for future use. So it looks like I either have to rummage through some more stock over there at the bike shop or pay up for those newer models that are the kind that you have to shave down the barrels on. Actually, now that I think about it, I still have this might be the one for the rear derailleur, and these may still work for the front derailleur. You just measure it and they will work for the front derailleur. So I'll have one to use on this project and one to use on a future project. So what I'm going to do is just put a little simple green on steel wool pad and run that over it. So as I said in the intro, these two pieces from the bike we're working on are good. These are not. However, portions of them are. So I'm going to cut off the bad portions so that I can still possibly use a section in the future. But before I do that, I've got to measure them against these items that I picked up and pick out the ones I'm going to use for our project. So we don't need that long one right now. I've gotten these all cleaned up these extra pieces that I will save. A lot of them are got a lot of rust on them that even the steel wool wouldn't clean off, but in a pinch, because they do not make this anymore, I'd rather save them and use them if I have to than toss them. But what I like to do is put a little bit of grease on an old cable. Just get a little bit in your hands, between your fingers there. And run it through. Just to keep it from, well, if it is rusted on the inside, it will help. And even if it isn't, it will help prevent future rusting. So I need to measure out this length. Put that out there. And then I need to measure out this length. Next up, we're going to clean up the bottom bracket pieces and put them on the wire wheel. Just had them in the solvent there to get the excess grease out of the races and whatnot. And this is also some pieces from the head tube. Again, just getting the grease out of the races. Cages, and I know I say this a lot, that, you know, like the chain was the grisiest, dirtiest chain I've ever worked on. These cages were the worst I've ever worked on. I don't know if it was the kind of grease that the assembler used 53 years ago, but they were just packed inside of here. And yes, I could just get new cages, but you know, these were the originals. They say Schwinn on them, and they don't make them like they used to. Certainly not the Schwinn quality. So I prefer to do it this way, and that's the way I do it. So we can just rub those around like that. So we'll do the front derailleur first. I happen to notice on this thing that, there it is. Okay, it has a interesting set of limit screws. This one seems fairly, I was going to say fairly straightforward, but now I'm not sure. It's this one I'm not sure about. I don't think I've seen this style before, where it's pushing up. I'm trying to see exactly how this derailleur works. Okay, it goes like that. So this limit screw hits against the side of the actual derailleur. And I've never seen that before, but, oh, and then I see that this limit screw here hits up against this arm for the other side. But I've never seen that before. Usually they're kind of right in the same line and they work off of these arms, but anyway, it is what it is. So this comes off. This is the bracket that holds it on the seat tube. And then this is the cable stop. This bolt comes out. Maybe. And then you have to move. No, that's not going to come out. Usually you'd have to move the arm in order to get that bolt out, but there's no way that's happening. Huh. Guess it's got a slide in there sideways. Seems kind of janky. 1971, obviously they improved on this design drastically in later years. This is there we go. And then the limit screws come out with their respective springs. This one's really greasy in there. And then this one, which is in kind of a weird spot, as I've said, yeah, that is really weird. I wonder if it's almost worth not taking this apart, because you have to keep the derailleur spread out in order even just to get that screw out of there. And I would imagine getting it back in is a real pita. I was running out of battery anyway. Thanks for sticking with me, and I hope to see you next time on Featherstone Bicycles.